Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Triforce podcast.
We're so back.
Got a little cheeky surprise this week when Pyrion visited Bristol. I wasn't expecting to see him.
And that is cheeky, impromptu visiting.
His big, lovely face came around the corner, and I kissed it, and I was like, oh, my mum.
How were you not expecting it? You know why I was there.
I don't get tough things.
Oh,
I don't
that's
get
true.
tough things.
That's true.
You were here to film a little cosplay challenge.
Yeah.
For the who cares if we spoil it a little bit? no, not gonna spoil it. It's just
Sarah's
we'll
like,
reveal it.
Lewis! I bet she's upset.
Well, I always talk about what people I've noticed because we talked about some of the other stuff we've done on the podcast, and people were like, "Oh, so this is the thing Lewis talks about." But actually, this is going out during Camp Yog, which is coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
So it's real fun actually. I always forget how much fun doing real life live action events are, where everyone mills around and is silly, and we get a little, I don't know, a couple of props, a couple of costumes. I don't know. It's we're so used to doing stuff in games, right? It just feels.
Remember we did that one in that wine cellar, the EastEnders thing?
Yes.
The Brexit bunker.
Cumped. Yeah, we had to make that.
Yeah, that was good. We did Cumped, we did EastEnders, and I don't know what the other thing.
That was so long ago. We used that same bunker for Tom and Ben's Warhammer thing, where they rented it out and made it look like a pub.
Oh yeah, God, that was amazing.
It's like a little wine cellar. Yeah, and they did like a Warhammer thing. I love these things. And I think I notice sometimes when people say, I'm a big Yogs fan, how do I introduce the Yogs to my partner? And they're always like, watch these live action videos. I've always sort of felt they have a very
You feel like those are the gateways into hours and hours of gameplay footage?
It's more familiar to people, right, as well, because this is the kind of stuff you'd see on BBC and Dave, and, with stuff like Taskmaster. It's such a great format for messing around and having fun and causing these silly, funny moments. And you could tell with things like, I don't know if you've ever seen Taskmaster, but obviously everyone here is a huge fan of it. You could tell that it's not too heavily scripted or anything like there's
like a framework
do the
and
same.
Then there's a lot of improvisation in
I think if for example, like if it was more planned out, you'd end up with everyone doing something different all the time, whereas in fact sometimes they have a task and 4 of the people do exactly the same thing, even though they're all weird different comedian people who think differently. They overlap on their ideas, and we've got a little bit of that too. Like I think in our latest one that we did, the Hide the Body one, Pyrion.
Oh man, that was fun.
Obviously, me and you were did something quite different to the other 2 teams who both sort of ended up doing
Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's, yeah, where they our friend's gotten drunk, and they just leave him outside the pub. But
I know that everyone that we work with when we do these things, they're creative people, and I think everyone's got a really good sense of humor and understands that it's about making a fun bit of content, right? Not winning or something like that. So I feel like whenever I come down and we do some content, everyone from the crew to whoever I'm filming with or whoever's hosting something all just understands that this is all for fun. And you're not competing to like win something. I'm always just thinking, I want to try and see if we can come up with an idea that the other guys aren't, so that it makes a better piece of content. And I think everyone's on the same page. I like that.
I think, it's always that way. You've played these games with us before as well. And it's like, so if someone comes along to you and says, be creative, you almost have to like discard the first ideas in your head. You think, other people are going to do those. But then you think, are they going to, is everyone else also going to think of that and discard it and do the next thing I thought of? But no, usually the second thing you think of, no one has ever thought of.
No, yeah. Because you go like abstract after the first thing. You think of the first thing and you're like, maybe this is too obvious. And then the next thing you think of, like you said, is out there. And then that usually
I always think the first thing that you always think of is the same thing that everyone always thinks of. And in a sense, they've already imagined that in their mind.
Yeah.
I think with these challenges, when you're given, because we were all so conscious, like with the cosplay challenge last year, when Ozzy and Duncan had to build Spider-Man. Spider-Man is so iconic that I think you have to go a little bit lateral, right, on that in order to make it make it stand out, right? Because you're just going to make a shit version of something which everyone everyone in their head can visualize. Like, unless you've got a Fantasia where I guess you can't visualize Spider-Man. But I feel like even people who are with a Fantasia,
if I close my eyes right now, I can see Spider-Man in my mind. And guess what? Added bonus, he's naked.
How can you tell he's Spider-Man then?
I've done it. He's got the mask on, but I can see everything else.
But, gross. God, is he like? Is he? How old are we talking?
I think he sucks it all in. You know, he's not actually that muscular.
He's like Dad Spider-Man.
Yeah. He holds in his breath and
It sounds like Into the Spider-Verse, the Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Yeah,
there's like a chubby dad bod Spider-Man and all that.
Yeah, he's under there. I see. He's under there. Yeah,
it's giving you like creepy YouTube video vibes.
He's creaking and groaning. Yes, yeah, he's got
like a couple of people trapped in his basement.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
doing too good.
So
are you?
I was going to talk about something. I woke up very early today and did a little bit of accidentally, and I did a little bit of a digging around on the internet for something to talk about today because I hadn't really done much other than come down to see you, and we can't talk about the content anyway. So other than that, I just hung out in the office and then went to the pub. So not really much to say.
It was lovely though.
It was. I had a great time. Beautiful.
The heat wave we're having has been heaven sent.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, what a miserable winter it was. What a glorious start of the summer in.
It's been lovely.
May.
It's been lovely.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting out in the sun trying to soak up as much of the joy of walking around and seeing. You know, the trees are all green again and the sun is out. It's wonderful. I love it.
Do you sniff any flowers while you're out there?
I can't smell flowers. So
strange. I mowed my lawn last weekend for the first time in what feels like forever. Just because we've had like scaffolding and crap for the past year on the house, which is not there anymore. We kind of got the backyard back, so I'm able to get back there and do a couple of bits and pieces. It was nice to mow the lawn. It felt really good, you know? Like you get out there, you mow that lawn, you sit down and you just look at it and you just think, I did that. I cut all that grass. And while I was sitting there, loads of birds flew in and they were like looking for stuff. And Terry was out there and stuff. Yeah, it was great. Really good. Just felt like at one with nature for 2 minutes. And then I went back in.
While you were murdering it with a lawnmower.
That's right. Yeah, I went back in and just played some video games. Felt great.
Yeah. I did walk past a bush the other day with my partner and they sniffed it and they were like, this is supposed to smell like, see if you can tell. So I had a big sniff and I was like, it kind of smelled like a stanky ass. And she was like, it's supposed to smell like sex. And I was like, the fuck did you make me smell that thing for?
There's a bush on our road. Someone's got a bush.
Sex does smell like stanky ass.
Yeah, that's true. But the bush that's on the end of my road, it fucking reeks. Like you walk past it smells like terrible garbage, but it's just this bush anyway.
Find a rose bush. Smell a rose.
Can't smell it. I can't smell it.
But you can smell that one.
Yes, the smelly one.
Have you been cursed?
Can you smell
by some old woman who could to only smell bad smells?
No, because I can smell like rosemary and stuff like that. So like the herbs in a herb garden, I can smell the plants there, like mint and you know like basil and stuff. You can smell it, and I can smell it. But when it comes to flowers, I'm like, I'll stick it like up my nose. I'm like. And I just can't smell anything. It's really bad.
I know what you mean. A lot of stuff people are like, oh, smell this. And you're like, I don't smell anything. Yeah. I don't think that's necessarily you. No. I think it is.
Anyway, here's the thing that I was looking into this morning. I was looking at terrible deals.
Right.
Like bad contracts, bad deals, things gone wrong in sort of all sorts of fields. And I've come up with a few. There's some sport ones in here. There's some business ones in here. There's some history ones in here. You guys want to hear this?
I want to hear the bad deals.
This sounds
art
hilarious.
Of the bad deal.
This sounds like a podcast already that I've probably already subscribed to.
It's like we're doing a real podcast here.
Oh my God.
So this is about a footballer called Winston Bogarde, or Bogard, if you like, Bogarde. I'm pretty sure it's Bogarde, but anyway, he had played for some big teams.
When was he active? What were the years in question?
I'm coming to that.
Oh, okay.
So he played for AC Milan. He played for Barcelona. It's the year 2000. He's about 30, something like that. He didn't play a huge number of games at those clubs, but in 2000, if you were an English club and you signed a player from Barcelona, everyone was like, ooh, you know what I mean? That was like, wow, cool. So Chelsea signs this guy, Winston Bogarde, Gianluca Vialli was the manager. He left, and then Claudio Ranieri came in as manager, and he didn't like Winston Bojada as a player. He was like, I don't think he's up to much.
Right.
He's probably right, to be fair. But they've signed Winston Bojada on a £40,000 a week contract for 4 years. Now, 40 grand a week back then was an obscene amount of money for players. Like hardly anyone had this kind of money. In today's money, that's it's like 20, 25 years later. So that's like 80 grand a week for a 30-year-old player. And here's the thing. They don't play him. He's there for 4 years and he just fulfills his contractual obligations. He trains every time he's expected to train. He's always available to play. He does everything so they can't fire him. And he got a lot of stick from the Chelsea fans and the press and, worst signing in history. But here's what he had to say about it. They kept trying to sell him, but no one would take him. And even though they pressured him to leave, he was like, here's what he said. Why should I throw away 15 million euros when it's already mine? At the moment I signed, it was in fact my money, my contract. Both sides agreed wholeheartedly. I could go elsewhere to play for less, but you have to understand my history to understand I would never do that. I used to be poor as a kid, did not have anything to spend or something to play with. This world is about money, so when you're offered those millions, you take them. Few people will ever earn so many. I am one of the fortunates who do. I may be one of the worst buys in the history of the Premiership, but I don't care.
Good for him, man.
He just ran down his contract. He subsequently wrote a book. I'm not going to say it in English because it's, or in Dutch actually, but essentially his autobiography is called This N-Word Bows for No Man, which is a pretty fucking cool name for a book. Because he's like, he's had this quite tough life. Had loads of shit for just Chelsea giving him a bad contract. But you find me someone who wouldn't take this. Like he played like 12 times in 4 years and he got like 10 million quid. So
why are they blaming him crazy for his contract? He didn't create his own contract.
What is he supposed to do? Give the money back to like the rich cunts? Like, give me a break. This guy should be president. This guy knows how to do a deal. Not fucking the Don, not the big orange fucking baby.
I know.
Like this guy fucking rules. Get him in charge. What's he doing now?
Yeah.
He's probably fucking, do you know what he's probably doing now? Chilling.
Yeah. No, he was actually assistant manager at Young Ajax. So he's still in football back at Ajax. But I mean,
fair enough.
Yeah.
15 million. I mean, you're set. You can just do whatever.
Exactly.
Like, if he wants to stay in football, cool. But like, it's not his fault that his contract was like that. Like you said, like if somebody gave me a contract saying I'm going to give you 15 million bucks over 4 years, I would, of course, sign it.
Yeah.
And if they never played me, I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever.
But
it's
also,
4 years.
That
matter.
contract could be exhausting and, awful. Like the point is that in a sense, like them not playing him, okay, maybe he was amazing. Maybe that was the best time of his life. Maybe he could have been worth more.
No.
He wasn't.
No.
Well, we're never going to know. The point is that it could have gone either way, though, right? Like, in a sense, he didn't. You never imagine they'd worked him to death over those 4 years, or really like given him
played him every game. Time. He has to play in goal every game. Chelsea gets relegated season after season. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the classic way to like get someone to quit in Japan or something,
right.
Isn't it?
It's like attrition, right? They try to like psych them out. Give them like really crappy jobs. Show them like a really passively miserable time, and just hope that they quit. That is the way. That's how they do it.
Yeah, make him like wear the mascot uniform and do the halftime show. Make him, clean up the stadium after the game.
Yeah,
like make it till he actually quits himself. That's the way to do it.
Loads of things they could have done to get some value out of it.
So that they tried to piss him off by like making him train with the under 21s and never playing him and like just. They try.
Man, Adam Sandler should make a movie about this, because this just sounds like an Adam Sandler movie. It sounds like Happy Gilmore, but it's football, and they're like trying to get rid of him, and they put him with the under 21s, and they just have like the best time. They're all like giving each other wedgies and high fiving and stuff, and
so I guess
all
he
their
turned up for training every day to honor his contract to the letter. Right? Like it's like a malicious compliance thing. Where he's like, I'm going to get paid regardless.
I honestly have massive respect. Yeah. It's just 4 years. Who gives a shit if the bastards at Chelsea are upset about this contract, don't fucking sign players on 40 grand a week.
Okay, hang on a second though.
What?
If this had, I feel like what I'm getting a vibe of now is, what if this had happened at AFC Bournemouth?
Oh, well, no. So a bad deal is a bad deal. And I genuinely do not blame Winston Bohada. And we've had players that we've signed and we paid a lot of money for, and they were dog shit. It happens. I am not in any way saying that this is favoritism. The fact that it happened to Chelsea adds a little cherry on top because I fucking hate Chelsea. So don't get me wrong. I delight extra in the fact that this happened to Chelsea. But if it happened at Bournemouth, I'd be like, it sucks, but we shouldn't have signed. I would be angrier with the person who signed the deal. I wouldn't be angry with the player for taking it. Anyone would take it. Anyway,
man,
I've got another sport one. And then
I just want to say quickly before you move on to the next one, I was in London with my family, and I was like a while back. We were joking around at breakfast because we were like, planning the day. And I was like, I had maps open. I was like, oh, let's go to the Chelsea football ground and stuff, because like none of my family is at all into football. My son's not into it, nobody. So I was just joking around, trying to think of like things that they would absolutely not want to do, just to wind them up a bit or whatever. And then one of the staff from the hotel comes over and he was like, "Oh, are you guys going to go to the Chelsea football ground? It's amazing. It's so much fun." I'm a huge fan as well, obviously, so I'm a bit biased, but it's great. You love it. Like, it's incredible. I was like, yeah, I was just joking. Like, I don't think anybody wants to go see it, but like, thanks for letting me know, like, it
would have been worth it. Yeah.
And then the whole trip, every time we saw him, he's like, "Hey, you been yet?" Like, no, I haven't. Sorry, we didn't get a chance. Like, fuck, it was so awkward. It was funny though, but just shows you shouldn't joke about certain things. Yeah, it wasn't even a funny joke. Like, I was just farting around, but it backfired big time. Anyway,
it did. So the next sport one is a guy called Bobby Bonilla or Bobby Bonilla.
I've heard of Bobby Bonilla. Is he a baseball player?
He's a baseball player.
Bobby Bonilla. That is a baseball player name, isn't it?
It is.
Bobby
Stepping up next to the plate, Bobby Bonilla. He's batting 282 and he's on a 4-game hitting streak. And he's out. All right, so here's Bobby Bonilla. In 2000, the Mets agreed to. So he had this contract, and the Mets wanted him off the team and off the payroll. One of the reasons for that you do in baseball is there's a limit on how many players you can have on your active roster. And if someone has like a major league contract, they'll often have a clause in there, which means you can't just send them down to the lower divisions. So you couldn't take a Bobby Bonilla and say, "You're playing in the AAA team, like one of our farm teams, because we just want to get you off our roster so we can bring someone else up." He'll be like, "No, I'm not going." So you're just stuck with him. So a lot of the time, you want to trade him away, even if it's an unfavorable trade, just to get rid of these contracts and the salary cap and all the rest of it. The Mets in 2000 want to get rid of Bobby Bonilla. They agree to buy out the remaining $6 million on his contract, $6 million, but they don't want to give him the $6 million all at once. So they say, how about this? We'll make annual payments of $1.2 million for 25 years, but that doesn't start until July 1st, 2001, and there's an 8% interest rate on there. And at the time, the Mets ownership was heavily invested in a Bernie Madoff account that promised huge returns, and they were going to make a massive amount of money. So they were like, "We don't care about money. We're going to make a fortune with this Bernie Madoff shit. Just pay Bobby Bonilla off. Give him I don't care. So fucking get the dinner lady to write the deal." And this is what they came up with. So every day on July 1st, Bobby Bonilla gets paid his $1.2 million every single day, and will be until 2035.
Wow.
And the Mets sort of, when he'll be 72, by the way.
Jesus.
And that's not the only deferred contract he has. He also gets money from like multiple other clubs for other things that he was involved in. Max Scherzer was a player who also played for the Mets, played for the Nationals. He's going to get paid out $105 million to 2028. Manny Ramirez, $24.2 million through 2026. It's insane. Like, I mean, these guys Bobby Bonilla, I don't think he even played very much for the Mets. But to get that kind of cash.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What kind of deal is that? Just give him the 6. Even if you said to him, "We're going to pay you $1 million a year for 10 years, he'd be better off, and he would say yes. Yeah. Why did you sign him for 25 years?
That's
so crazy.
I need a deal like this. These are the kind of deals I'm looking for. Something,
Yeah.
25 years, couple of million each year.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah.
No problem.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, that is absolutely insane. And it's got an interest rate attached to it, has it as well?
8%.
So it's even like compounding.
Yeah. So it's like
8%.
Yeah. So it's like inflation proofing or something. So
yeah. Fucking hell.
Respect.
Respect.
It's just
well done, Bobby.
Well done, Bobby.
You could tell
Bonilla.
those guys, the guys in charge, were so greedy. With all of these investors, they obviously wanted to put any money they had at the time into Bernie's scam, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so they didn't want to pay off. They didn't want to pay him right now because they're like, oh, well, we could put this money instead of paying him. We could put the money in the scam instead. And so their greed meant that they were willing to do. And also, it's the classic fucking example of old white men pushing the problem off to the next generation, isn't it? It's like, oh, in 10 years' time, we won't be part of this, guys, anymore. We might not be part of it in 5 years' time. So let's just pay him in 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, it's insane. And such a high rate as well. I mean, they're going to end up paying so much.
He's going to be 72 years old when it finally expires.
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Pretty crazy.
That's nuts.
Damn.
I'm jealous. So I wish I had that.
So the next one is Ronald Wayne, which is a more famous one I thought I'd drop in so that people can go, I was going to say Ronald Wayne. Ronald Wayne was one of the 3 original members of Apple.
Right.
Along with Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. They were just kids. They were like 21, 22. In comes Wayne, and he's 41. He's got a bit of experience. He's got some experience with electronics and stuff like that. He's been like a product development manager. He developed some video games when he was at Atari. So he's an experienced guy. He's a wise old head. The 2 Steves are like a couple of Tasmanian devils just flying, just trying to get it. They're super excited. They're just constantly working. And Wayne's already lost a bit of money previously, and he reluctantly comes in for a 10% stake so that the Steves get 45 each. He gets 10, so he's the tiebreaker whenever they make a company decision. Right. It's on Wayne. So he listed himself as the adult in the room. He gets cold feet about the business. They've got this deal with some company to make money, and apparently they quite often don't pay up. He's exposed financially, so he gets worried and he dips and he sells his shares for $800 to the 2 Steves. He buys out of the company. If he had not done that,
$800.
Yes, that 10% of Apple would have been worth something like $90 billion or something insane like that.
Oh my God, man!
So yes, Ronald Wayne
hilarious.
Got cold feet and had to dip. It's poor lad, I guess.
That's so funny.
How much did he have invested that his cold feet would $800?
Right, but so here's the thing.
What was he so desperate to get $800 for?
Because they didn't have any assets, the Steves.
Right.
And he did. And as he was part of the company, if they'd had some winding up order and they owed people money, they would seize his assets.
Oh, so like what? He had a house and a car.
Yeah, exactly. And he'd been burned on a previous business thing where he was like, look, I can't have this happen again. And he said that he found it working with them incredibly stressful. And he said that if he had not sold, he would have been the richest guy in the cemetery. So what he's implying is that if he had stayed on, he would have died of stress and it wouldn't have mattered. He would never have really seen much benefit from the money. I mean, that's one way to sort of
for sure, right?
mitigate the mental damage. But yeah,
there's a thing with this stuff. It's investments and all this stuff. No one could tell the future, right? And the classic example would be like Warren Buffett saying time in the market is better than timing the market, right? There's a classic, thing about that. And the thing about timing the market is you have to do it twice, right? You have to predict when it's at its highest to sell, and you have to also predict when it's at its lowest to get out. Yeah, to get in.
Or if somebody just gives you a heads up like 20 minutes before something's going to happen,
right? Like if you're a member of the U.S. government or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's always got to be tricky, and a lot of people do these things called like dollar cost averaging, where they slowly invest over a long period of time, and so they get the average price over the year. Or they just make regular investments. That's the other thing people do, is they set up a little thing where it pays a certain amount into the investment every week, and then you just sort of forget about it, because I think it can be very stressful thinking about these types of things and worrying about this stuff. I don't know, like this guy, it doesn't seem to me like he would have been that liable. You know, if you buy into a company, I don't think that they can, if the company goes bankrupt, they can come and take your house. I guess it depends. But certainly if you borrow money, they can. And if that $800 he'd borrowed, then, I'm sure he had his reasons. But you have to live with your choices. You can't tell the future.
Indeed.
And maybe he would have died of stress. Who knows?
You never know.
These are really interesting. I'd never heard of him.
No, I hadn't. I did some of this read. Some of these I'd heard, some of these I hadn't. Because Bobby Bonilla Day is fast approaching. It's like the 1st of July.
Wow.
And I was just thought it's the 1st of May, and the Mets are having a terrific start to the season. We're like the best team in baseball. So it just popped into my head. But the new owners of the Mets are like embracing it, and they're going to celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day at the stadium and have like a big thing, and play up to it rather than try and pretend it's not happening.
They could probably just getting everybody into the stadium buying concessions and stuff like that. They could probably foot the bill for Bobby.
Exactly. It's buy a burger for Bobby Day.
Yeah, it's just like turns into like a charitable event. We can't really afford to pay Bobby anymore. Can you come in and leave a couple of some loose change behind, please?
Well, I tell you what, they definitely can afford to pay Bobby, because $1.2 million a year is nothing when they're paying Juan Soto, I think, is on $750 million.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
wow. The world is just changed, isn't it? Maybe they were right after all. You always hear about these classic bad deals in terms of like business, right? Of like MySpace selling to News Corp when it was like at its highest, or stuff launching like that American TikTok, like Quibi or something. Do you remember that? That was like a big flop.
Oh.
No.
It was like a $2 billion company. Basically, it was like this LA mobile only. It was like a TikTok. Or like a Vine type thing that was just massive.
These things they're
years ago.
It's kind of crazy because like they seek out investment for these things quickly, right? They spin up like a ton of money, and it's such a gamble. Like there's absolutely no guarantee that this will take off in any way, shape, or form. But then when you build something like that in the first place, it means that it's always going to be like that. So like a big part of the business will always just be scrounging around for investment constantly, rather than sort of building it up from nothing into something that is like a bit more sustainable. It's a weird one, isn't it? Tech very much goes that way, I feel like. I don't know an awful lot about it, but
the way they say that fusion power has been 10 years away for decades, right? Or 2 years away, or some stupid thing like that. Just like that idiot Musk has been saying that self-driving cars in the next 2 years or whatever, they're going to happen. He's been saying that for like 10 fucking years. Anyway, I feel like there's this constant thing in tech where even though this company has never made a penny, it's worth a fortune because of some future idea of money. And it's just this constant speculation about they've got so many users. Yeah, but you're not fucking making it. Like if you had a business that said, we sell ice cream. Really, how many people buy your ice cream? 1 billion people buy our ice cream every year. Wow, that's incredible. How much money do you make? Oh, we don't make money. We sell the ice cream at a massive loss. We're just growing our ice cream consumer base. And then we'll figure out how to make money off it. You fucking idiots.
Here's the way it's a Ponzi scheme, right? The way they do it is these companies like Facebook, didn't make a cent, but then it buys into something which is growing and is the next Ponzi, right? It's WhatsApp. And then they buy up the next thing, like the VR headsets, whatever, and then it's the next thing. There's always a rising thing that could be the next big thing, and they're always buying that.
Right.
So they're always staying ahead of the scam, right? It doesn't matter that all of their stuff behind them is eventually dead or dying or gonna collapse or maybe worthless, as long as they're on the next thing already, right?
Yeah.
It's also a classic. It's a classic person scam. Like these companies might well be worth nothing, but they're run by people. Okay, and these people often, the people who run them, certainly a big company like Disney, they've got loads of money. Okay, and loads of people on their board, and the people on the board of Disney are people, and they want to get that Disney money out. Okay, and so what they'll do is They'll go into these startups. They'll find these little startups. They'll get on the board of those. They'll get a 10% investment on them. And then they'll convince the board of Disney to buy that out. And that makes the Disney money their money. You understand? So if you're an exec or if you're someone who's directing these big companies that have huge amounts of money, a way to extract the money out of it is to buy your companies that you've seeded.
That's
right?
basically what happened to Maker. Maker Studios back in the day.
Exactly.
That was bought out by Disney, and then
it's very clever.
It lasted for like a couple of months under Disney, and then they closed it.
So funny. Yeah, God, it's so funny. All right, do you want another one?
There's tons of little clever. They're like magic tricks, right? These little things, but it's just the way the world is constructed.
But the magic tricks were when he goes, da-da, you all go, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it's not a good trick.
No.
It's just shit, isn't it? It's just a way to fucking lose money anyway.
Yeah.
So have you guys heard of Jean Calment?
No.
A French woman?
No.
Guy Tupperware?
No, not Jean-Guy Tupperware. This is a lady.
Tupperware. Drinking his Pepsi and riding his polar bear through the Great North. What a guy.
What did you say? Jean-Paul Gaultier? What did you say?
Jean Calment.
Jean Calment.
I'll say it in English. Jean Calment. All right.
Oh, right.
Oh, Jean Calment. I know Jean Calment.
Jean Calment.
Yeah. So Jean Calment was the oldest person that's ever lived.
Right.
She lived to 122.
Okay, she lived
yeah.
I thought she was a Spanish lady that lived the longest.
So she was born in 1875.
Right.
And she died in 1997. Her husband died in 1942. So she'd been a widow much longer than she was married for. She had one child who also died in 1934. So she had quite a sad life.
Oh my God!
So she lived to 122. 122 years, 164 days.
I remember this. I told someone about this the other day.
But did you tell? Was this the story about André François Raffray, a French lawyer?
I don't remember. I just remember it being. I told it half.
Wait, are we still doing the bad deals thing?
Yes. So she's 90 years old.
Yeah.
And she's got this property. She has no living heirs. She's got this nice property. And this lawyer comes to her and says, he don't want to buy the house because she's living in it. So he says, all right, here's the deal. I'll give you £330 a month until you die. All right. And after that time, you leave me the apartment. Right. So this lad was 47 at the time. He's thinking she's 90. She could die in 4 or 5 years' time. Easy. She could die tomorrow, no problem. He's 47. He pays her this money on this agreement that at the end of her life, he gets the house. She says no problem, signs a deal. Great deal at 90. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, great deal.
Yeah.
30 years later, she's still going. He dies at the age of 77.
Oh, no.
And she's still going at 120. Not only that, but after she's died, the family of the lawyer had to keep paying her for 2 more years until she finally died at 122.
And then they got the apartment.
And then they got it. But they think that the house was worth about half of what they'd paid her over that time.
Yeah, I don't think he expected to pay for that long.
Right,
like you said, he thought probably 4 or 5 years, and then
and then done. Yeah,
well, yeah. This is a classic thing. Is the mortgage? It's a French word, isn't it, or whatever? It means it's got death in it, right?
Yeah.
More is death.
Also has gauge in it as well. Mort.
Death pledge
and gauge.
So I guess the idea is you're supposed to. I think
it's
originally
a bit like
it was something
newer. You got the your mother. Anyway,
amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so unlucky. Well, I mean, lucky and unlucky, I guess.
They basically put a 32-year mortgage on this house and ended up paying twice as much for it.
Cool. Yeah, sounds like my current mortgage. You know what I'm saying? That's unfortunate.
From big events to silly moments captured every day, doesn't it sometimes feel like all of your favorite photos are languishing on your camera roll? Wouldn't it be great to have a way to share and enjoy them with friends and family? That's where Aura comes in. Named the #1 digital photo frame by Wirecutter, it's easy to upload unlimited photos directly from your phone, so your favorite memories are always within view. I have got an Aura frame at my at home in my lounge. I've got one at my mum's house, and I can upload new pictures every day. Every day I'm doing something interesting, and my family can upload stuff to mine. It's great. It's really social. It's really sweet. It's a great gift. I genuinely use it and have enjoyed it, and I know the other guys do as well. So shout out to Aura frames. It's easy to set up. There's unlimited storage. It's bright and colorful, and actually also when you turn off the lights in the evening, it turns off to save energy, which is one thing I was worried about. I love it. For a limited time, you can save on this perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $20 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's auraframes.com, promo code AURA20. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah.
I saw a joke of his the other day that made me laugh. You know the way he does it.
He's like, his delivery is
me and my wife were trying to quit smoking, so we said we'd only smoke after sex. I had the same pack since 1978 now. Problem is, my wife, she's on 3 packs a day. All right, so this is the final bad deal, because it's quite a long one, so I thought I don't want to tie up the whole fucking podcast with this. But so this is called the Darien scheme. Have you ever heard of the Darien scheme?
Never.
Darien.
No,
I have.
Okay, well, I'll tell it to, I guess, Sips and any members of the audience who haven't heard of it. This was an idea that the Scottish government and all the landed nobility were like, everyone else is setting up these fucking colonies. We should do that too. We should get out there and colonize some of these fucking new world we've heard all about.
And there's this great place I could tell you about. It's called fantastic. The Darien Gap.
It's the Isthmus of Darien, it's called. And they decide to go there. It's a dump.
It's basically a hellhole.
It's a swamp, disease-ridden, mosquito-infested
even
shit
today.
Hole. Yes, it's terrible.
This is like this is the story of Shrek, who was.
So I'll let you carry on. But basically, the Darien Gap still exists today. There's a road all the way from Alaska, all the way down to all the way through America, Central America, all the way down through Panama, and then it stops. And then there's a thing called the Darien Gap, which is basically a jungle. Filled with swamps and tropical disease and disaster.
Nice.
And then it picks up again in Colombia and goes all the way back down. So you can't drive across America. And it's amazing, really, even now that no one's built a road through it. Obviously, it's a common smuggling route for people to drive Land Rovers through. But even then, it's very difficult to get through even
it's
today.
It's a shithole, right? So the first expedition, they sent 5 ships, 1,200 people, head off to set up this colony. The journey around Scotland for those kept below deck was so traumatic that some colonists thought it comparable to the worst parts of the entire experience in Darien. All right, so things are off to a bad start. Even just getting away from Scotland is like, oh my God, this sucks. They sail across the Atlantic and they settle there. They christen their new home Caledonia, declaring, "We do here settle, and in the name of God establish ourselves, and in honor and for the memory of that most ancient and renowned name of our mother country, we do and will from henceforward call this country by the name of Caledonia, and we shall have success together. Huzzah!" And they build this fort, Fort St. Andrew, had 50 cannons, but no fresh water.
Okay.
No.
It's kind of a
bit of a problem,
They are ready for a fight, but they're not ready to be thirsty. And they have a harbor that's really not good because the tides could easily wreck ships coming and going. And because this colony is kind of close to the Spanish Empire, who's moving silver all around, they're kind of worried that the Spanish might get involved. And the English are reluctant to help them too much because they don't want to piss off the Spanish. Everybody's doing this land grab and sending shit up and down over the Atlantic. Bosh, 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 bosh. You don't want to make enemies with the Spanish where they suddenly start blasting your little trade ships out of the water. So the Scots are basically on their own. They set this up. I'm going to summarize this bit because it's very long, but just imagine that the mortality rate in this colony rises to 10 settlers a day.
Jesus Christ.
Dying of malaria, fevers, miserable conditions. News has not got home about how badly this has gone. They have not told the Scottish public. As far as they're concerned, everything's going fine, and all the measures they send are great. So yeah, it's really not good.
No
King
news
William
is
of
good
England,
news.
Exactly. He's instructed the Dutch and English colonies, do not help them. We do not want to anger the Spanish, so please don't do it. Everybody's getting drunk. They're dying of dysentery, fever. Their food is infested with worms. It's rotting. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. After 8 months, just 8 months, the colony is completely abandoned, except for 6 men who were too weak to move. And then they get the fuck out of there. And of the 1,200 settlers, they just fled back to Scotland. Only 300 survived.
Oh my 300. God.
So yeah, they basically fucking tried to get home as fast as they could. In August 1699, the Olive Branch and the Hopeful Beginning, that's the 2 ships, with 300 settlers arrived in Darien to find ruined huts and 400 overgrown graves. Expecting a bustling town, the ship's captains debate their next move. One of their ships is destroyed by an accidental fire. Everybody gets the fuck out of Dodge and goes to Jamaica, and they're not allowed ashore because everybody's ill. So they just have to stay on board the ship like one of those plague ships.
Yeah.
So word of the first expedition still hasn't made it back to Scotland in time to prevent a second voyage of 1,000 people who are now setting off for Caledonia. God. After this perilous route round the north of Scotland.
And here's the thing, this second set probably are not like necessarily as pioneering.
Right, these aren't the hardy folk. These guys are expecting a town, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like the accountants and the hairdressers.
It's like the wives and stuff.
Yeah, you send the hardy boys out first as like, lads, it's going to be a tough 5 years. We're gonna build a town for Scotland and to bring our people back here. And they get there and it's a fucking disaster. They get there. It's a fucking disaster. They realize how bad it is, and they just can't believe it. Okay, it's like the end of days. They've lost all this money, and essentially they after a whole bunch of other things, they surrender to the Spanish and they abandon the fort. They have to leave the guns, they have to leave the colony, and just a handful of those people from the second expedition return to Scotland. Of the total 2,500 people that set off from Scotland, just a few hundred survived. So it was an absolute disaster. But where does the bad deal come in is that in order to pay off this incredible debt that the nobles had incurred in attempting the Darien fiasco, they had to sign the Act of Union and basically give over everything they pretty much had to the English. So we sort of got them on our currency, and we basically paid them a bit of money to offset any future liability and stuff. But essentially,
integrated
they were stuck. Yeah. So the Scots basically had to join us.
Oh my god!
Because of the fucking Darien scheme. I've summarized it poorly, but it's a very long article. But the more you read it, the funnier it gets. Just the tragedy. It's
mess.
So tragic. It's hilarious to me. Like, if something is that tragic, just imagine these people setting off. They're like full of hope. Haven't received any letters from Papa yet, Mother. Oh, he's probably busy running his successful lumberjack business. A thriving town awaits us. Wee Agnes, dinna worry yourself. Nor you, Elspeth. We're going to Caledonia. It's going to be fantastic. And then they get there and it's just
death, decay,
tumbleweeds and graves. 6 people
sinking into a bog,
dragging themselves across the ground. Brains. It's like 28 days later. Like, what the fuck? Let's get out of here. And
then the Spanish come charging out of the trees.
Oh, so sad.
Was this? There's loads of more bits about this. Like, the Spanish did actually even attack them.
Yeah, there was like a final assault on the way, and they were like, "Fine, we'll leave." And then they all died on board the ship.
Not only the Spanish could have just left them alone, and they would have all died.
It wasn't the way you did things back then, was it?
No.
Between 15 and 40% of all capital in Scotland was invested in this project.
Yeah, it's insane. So the country was so bankrupt that they had to join the, for deeper and deeper connections with England, and now, of course, the Union and everything. So
Well, this was obviously at a time when there were only 5,000 people in New York. So it was pretty early on, colonization of the Americas. But poor old, because I guess Scotland needed to get in on the colonization efforts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Along with everyone else. But it was just not a very successful trip. That's brilliant. I love that.
Oh, it's a great story. You're welcome.
This is like proper podcast shit right now.
It feels like for the first time in my life, it feels like I'm on an actual podcast and not just telling you guys what I did last week in a very boring way. I love that we've had something interesting to talk about for once that isn't just the usual stuff. It's been really nice.
I guess there's also tons of bad deals throughout history in terms of stuff being bought. Right? Because I think Manhattan Island was bought from one of the tribes for about $25 worth of goods. So
that was actually one of the things.
There's
that came
a couple
up
of those, a lot of those in
the
North
Louisiana
America.
Purchase is one. The Russians sold Alaska before gold was found. There are all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So the purchase of Manhattan, which I think it was to the Dutch, I believe, because it was New Amsterdam, wasn't it, before it was New York? When they bought it from the indigenous North Americans. People were like, they did it for a handful of beads, but they did it for what was used as money at the time. So it was money for those native tribes.
Yeah.
It's just relative to what Manhattan is worth now. But, equally, why aren't we laughing at one of the early settlers for not just cornering off the entirety of where fucking Trump Towers would be and all these other places and building buildings there and handing it down to his family because you can't tell.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like you could say, well, I bet someone's going to build the Empire State Building here one day. This is going to be Wall Street. I'm going to buy this land. No one fucking knows. And to the native tribes as well, they're like, well, it's just Manhattan. I mean, look how big America is. There's so much fucking land. I'm sure we can all share and get along.
And in a sense, I think that was probably their idea.
That's what Bill and Ted should have done when they could go back in future and to go back in time in the phone booth. They should have done that. They could have gotten up all that real estate. Man, they would be so rich.
Baby. Yeah. Ted, we're totally rich now, dude. Or something. I don't know.
It's a classic example of, I think it's taken as on two things. It's to show, it's a exploitative colonialism, right? But it's also kind of, I guess, something historically being used to say, oh, look how stupid they are at doing business. It's kind of one of those things that's slightly racist. And also, I imagine it's a similar vibe to Hong Kong, right? Where, the UK set up an island off the coast of a country they wanted to do trade with, right? Yeah. And it was a classic thing. And, you saw a lot of colonies like Goa in India, the Portuguese set up as a kind of trading post. And it was common to have these things around the world. I don't think necessarily
Hong Kong was originally set up,
that,
though, with the guarantee that it would be given back in the future, right?
It's true, yeah. Someone like the Mets did that business job.
That's right, yeah.
We'll get it for now, and you get it back in 100 years when I'm dead. And it's like, okay, everyone's cool with that. Yeah, I'm gonna be dead as well.
We're long gone. Oh shit! I survived. I lived to 130 years old.
Oh no, my mortgage!
Oh God, kill me! I don't want to live longer than this. Yeah, it's crazy. Great. History's so interesting, isn't it? When you're younger, you just think, fuck, this is so boring. But actually, I find the older I get, the more the less interested I am in fiction and the more interested I am in actual history and people, like documentaries and stuff. Like,
I mean, I feel like if in history, if you think about the way that history is taught quite often, or certainly in my experience, I don't know if it's changed that much. I've certainly spoken to my kids about the history they're doing at secondary school and stuff. Is that a lead into learning about the era of colonization, the colonial era, learning about that. If you open with an interesting story like that, I think you get people more invested, and the kids, because you can't just say like, all right, children, in 1750, the king of blah, blah, blah. There's no human connection to it.
No.
It all seems so grand. Whereas if you have this very sad story, which is also kind of funny in a sad way. I mean, it feels like a Wes Anderson film could be made about the Darien expedition, but
we learned a lot about colonization in at school because that's our whole heritage in Canada. It was colonialism and the British and the French, and it was pretty interesting. But I mean, that was when we did history. That's what we learned. Like that was like the main topic. Of course, world wars and stuff as well, and other things. But that was like this is how Canada came to be. This is like the important stuff sort of thing. So it was pretty interesting. Like even when I was a kid, it was quite interesting because it was like it was kind of exciting to think, a bit like how we're thinking about space and things now. Back then, going to the New World was not at all easy. It would take weeks to get there. You had to have supplies to get there. You had to have people who knew what they were doing, not only to get there, but then when you actually got there, they had to be able to build things and do stuff. And it was all like a bit of a gamble.
It's crazy.
Maybe aspects of it were all very seat of the pants too.
Oh yeah.
You were just hoping that things would turn out, and it's really interesting. I mean, I appreciate it again, probably a lot more now that I'm older and I learn more about it, sort of thing. But I remember being fairly interested even when I was young.
But I was really interested in the history that I was interested in, if you know what I mean. Like when it was just, here are the Tudor kings and queens. It's like, like just boring.
Yeah,
and it was just names and dates and whose their offspring was. It's like, I'm never going to remember all this. I really don't care. It's just like looking at some other family's family tree. Why is it important that I know this? What was the influence of what they did? Just beyond who they were and when they died. What was the deal? Tell me more. Give me a more human story to connect to.
And then put that into a video game that I can replay and make my own decisions.
Yeah, like
and
preferably a platformer, actually. Just give me a Tudor platformer. Ew! That's the queen getting hit by something, I assume.
Unlocked ball roll!
If you crack an egg, Henry VIII pops out and you can ride on his back like Yoshi.
I think... it's really interesting to know what people's blind spots are, right? Like I was talking to someone.
Mine is behind me.
I'm sure I've talked, unless you're like a chameleon, I guess, where you can have 360-degree vision. People just sometimes were not exposed to a thing, and they don't know about a thing, and it's fine whether you've not watched Star Wars or the person I know doesn't know what the deck of cards is. They don't really know what a Jack and Queen and King is. They don't know what that means, and obviously. The reality is that it depends on the game. For some reason, we've just decided they're all 10s most of the time, but there is an order to them, and it's arbitrary. And there's other stuff, right, that people have missing from their knowledge, right? And but for a long time, our brains are extended by things like a calculator, right? When even when we were at school, we were allowed to take calculators into certain exams, right? And that was a fairly new thing, I imagine, in the 90s. But I'm sure it's understood now, and it's kind of an extension of our mind, right? I can't do the square root of 277, right, in my head.
32.
But I'm sure some humans can if they've been really well trained at doing that kind of thing, or someone can at least guess it, but they can't. Like it's tough, right? But a calculator is something we've had for years and is very specialized in doing that. And I feel like AI is supposed to be the next step in that, right? It's the idea that it's aggregated thousands and thousands of books and articles and all this crap, and it's kind of being shoved down our throats too now. Like you cut, like I don't know why companies want us to use AI so much. Like on WhatsApp, they've added, you can do an AI meta search at the top of your thing now, and every time you Google search something, it gives you a little AI result. And my question is, and maybe there's an answer to this: is that supposed to be better? Like, is it supposed to save carbon by doing that?
No.
Like, rather than going to the website and finding the answer yourself and milling around, is it supposed to just save time? Because I don't think it is. And the second thing is, it's, again, we've talked about this a lot. It's just wrong so often.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand. And it's not, and I think a lot of people, and it speaks with this grammatical authority that we only associate with well-read people. It speaks like it's fucking David Attenborough.
Well,
or whatever.
you know
what?
The fucking AI cost me 2 pints the other night.
Tell me more.
Me and well, pretty much everyone in the office,
Tragic.
including yourself, young Lulu, went to the pub. We went to get some pints after work, and we were talking about celebrity crushes, and we were asking who were our first celebrity crushes when we were younger. It's a kind of conversation you have at the pub.
Classic conversation that we've had on this podcast.
Exactly,
many times.
Everybody's had it. And I said that one of my very early ones, I would have been, well, by the time I saw the film, 12 or 13, and I had a huge crush on Jennifer Connelly in Labyrinth, which came out in 1986. And I was a very young lad. It was on the telly, recorded it on VHS, and I was in love with Jennifer Connelly. And we were like, how old was she in that? Because she was very young. This was like her first big role. And I used AI to find the result. I asked my phone, how old was Jennifer Connelly in Labyrinth? And it said 16. And Tom had guessed that she was younger than 16. And I said, I'm pretty sure she was 16. The next day, Tom comes in and does that Tom look. He goes, you owe me 2 pints. And I was like, why? And he showed me that he'd looked it up. She was 14 when they made Labyrinth, but the character was 16. Now, the AI didn't fucking notice this difference and just gave me this wrong answer, and more and more the AI overview is the top result, and it's broken down, bullet pointed, and it has references, and it looks like it knows what the fuck it's doing. But you're right, it has no cocking idea. It's a fucking idiot.
Have you heard, speaking of celebrity crushes, have you heard the bad news?
Yes. Billy Ray Cyrus.
Something happened to Liz Hurley.
You read my fucking mind.
Billy Ray Cyrus and Liz Hurley are a couple.
Yeah, and have been for like 4 months.
Yeah, they're like super close now. Like they were on the set of filming something. He's like, it was love at first sight and all this shit. And yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus.
That did break my heart. My achy breaky heart.
My breaky.
Unbelievable.
Breaky heart was fully breakied.
Fully breakied. Yeah. Fucking hell.
I'm dead inside.
Yeah, me too. I've died. My insides have all died. They've withered away.
Although we can't really complain. It's quite age appropriate. It's not like she's
like 59, he's 63.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but it's Billy Ray Cyrus. So
more importantly, it's my beloved Liz Hurley.
Yeah,
that's the appalling thing. Yeah,
unbelievable.
Anyway, freaking believable.
He's a colonel. Why is he a colonel?
Like Colonel Sanders?
Colonel, it says on his Wikipedia page. U.S. honorary title. It's like I guess it's like Colonel Sanders.
Billy Ray.
Colonel Cyrus.
Yeah. How many tours of duty did Billy Ray do?
How many what? How many tours?
How many tours has he done?
I'm on my 3rd tour of Tennessee.
I've been touring the brewery here.
Yeah, you got to tour that brewery. In Billy Ray.
So I don't know, like I feel like, we are people have the blind spots and history, and sometimes you guys might think, I've never heard of this thing they're talking about, and it's very common. And don't. I think also it has to be passion led, right? Like sometimes when I was at school, I just didn't want to take shit in, like sometimes some lessons there would be, I would be like, I'm really struggling to learn this stuff. And it's just because I wasn't interested in it.
I was like that most of the year. And then for like the last 2 weeks of the year leading up to exams, I would go fucking nuts, like learning everything.
Well, but that was a different,
and everything. And then I would every year I would just squeak by. I'd get like 51%.
But there was some motivation for you to do that, right? Whether it was getting in trouble with your parents or them giving you some sort of incentive.
Yeah, I basically just didn't want to be Billy
or
Madison one day. I wanted to get through it.
Who's that?
Would be like
you don't know who Billy Madison is?
No.
Is that one of your blind spots?
Well, must be. I can't believe you've never seen that movie.
No. I don't like Adam Sandler's.
It's not worth watching, I would say.
Okay.
It's it was pretty funny when I was a teenager and I watched it recently. And there's parts of it that are funny, like Norm Macdonald's in it and stuff.
Oh wait, isn't that the one where it has the line, "What you just said was one of the dumbest things"?
Yes, that's Billy Madison. Yeah.
So I don't like his comedic acting because I just feel like it's really, really bad. I don't know how else to put it. It's the way he does these funny voices. Oh God, what do you want? Like,
but that was his thing at the time.
Yeah, I know, but it's just not for me, is what I'm saying. Like, I just think it's
I don't think he's doing that these days.
No,
too much anyway.
He's grown up a bit. But hey, I think as far as I can tell, everybody loved him. He's he was a lovely guy and everything, but I just never found him funny. I didn't like his songs. I didn't like his comedy. I didn't think he was good on Saturday Night Live. I just thought he was kind of meh.
Do you want some Lou's news?
Hell yeah, but news
hit us.
Okay, so let me load up the document. P-Flax, you'll be delighted to know, and I'm sure you've already been linked this by tons of our listeners. The Minecraft movie is getting new screenings that actively encourage wild behavior.
Fucking told you, bud.
Nice.
So this sometimes happens. It happened with another movie. I can't remember which one it was, but
it's not going to have the same vibe though if they know that they're allowed to do it.
It's called Minecraft Movie Block Party. They want you to scream at certain points in the movie, toss popcorn, bring real chickens. It's encouraging some specific rowdy showings on Fridays where fans are encouraged to get loose, sing along, and cheer as much as they want.
Right.
Those are going to all be fucking empty, by the way.
Like, no, I don't. I genuinely think that they could be pretty crazy.
I feel like everybody who wanted to do that has done it already, though. Like I don't think they. Well, maybe I could be wrong, but
I don't know. We'll see. But I do think embracing the cinema as a place where you get to have something more than just shh. You know what I mean? For a fucking movie that rowdy kids want to watch.
Well, this is exactly what
you ever been shushed at a movie before?
I'm normally the shusher.
Ever been
oh my God, I got shushed. I got shushed like recently.
Did you?
Yeah. During the trailers though. So I was
not using your inside voice when you were indoors?
Some people love the trailers, it turns out. Anyway.
Fuck off. I mean, if people are chatting during the ads and the trailers, I don't give a fuck. The trailers, I'll be watching them, but it's the ads and the trailers. Everybody's got to be quiet for a while. I don't mind a little bit of a chat during
some people love the ads. Some people come to the cinema
Look them up online,
specifically to watch ads.
If you care about the trailers, why don't you watch them online ahead of time? Dingus.
Losers.
I think it's crazy.
Losers.
It's crazy that your expectation when you go somewhere that has other people in it being people is going to be completely silent is mad.
Yeah, that is weird.
It is.
That is weird. It is weird.
You expect people to make some noise sometimes. Like it's going to happen. Maybe.
Did I tell you guys I was on another podcast? I did, right? I told you last week.
Told us. Okay, we were furious about it. I know.
I'm sorry.
Were you cheating on it?
Yeah,
that's all right.
I was on Yomp. Anyway, carry on.
Oh, great podcast. So next on the news is I saw this piece of news, and I'm assuming you have as well because it was quite big. A 27-year-old climber, a Chinese chap, I think, was visiting Japan and climbing Mount Fuji. And I don't know if you know, but it's like an 8-hour walk to the top of Mount Fuji. It's pretty tough. And he, I think, got sick from altitude sickness and was emergency airlifted off the mountain.
Wow.
Jeez.
And then about 4 days later, they were called to another altitude sickness call, and they rescued, and it was the same guy. And they were like, "What the hell?
What are you
doing
playing at,
here?
son?"
He said, "I'm looking for my mobile phone."
What a legend. Do you reckon he looked for it, find my phone, and it just had it at the top of Mount Fuji? He was like, "Ugh, not again."
It's like a Final Fantasy quest or something. You gotta go to the top of the mountain and fucking find the phone and hold it up in the air and wait for the light to shine on it and stuff. That's hilarious, man. Jesus Christ.
So
did he find it?
So yeah. I don't think so, no. But yeah, there's no penalty when a climber needs to be rescued, but it has called for some people are calling for him to be getting in trouble for it. But I think it's too funny. Yeah. It's too much. It's too funny.
That is funny. Yeah.
It's too funny to get him in trouble. God, he deserves it. I think. Do you know what? I think that's enough. I think we've done a great podcast today, so we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
It was a good one. Hey, I watched a show on BBC One called This Is Our City. It's got Sean Bean in it. It's about Liverpudlian drug dealers. It's good.
I've heard of it.
It's like 8 episodes or whatever. It's good though. I enjoyed it. You guys might like it too. It's good. It's very lots of heavy scouse in it though, like lots of fucking and stuff. Like it's just like lots of that. It's good though. It's really good. Really,
well,
The City is Ours.
I watched Adolescence. Adolescence was brilliant. If you haven't seen it,
I need to watch that actually.
Very, very.
You do need
good.
to watch it. It's quite heavy going, but great way it's shot all in one continuous take.
There's a new Louis Theroux about Israel and Gaza as well.
Yeah.
If you like that sort of thing. I've seen bits of it.
Another uplifting story, no doubt.
God, well, they're all good. Good stuff. All right, well, thanks.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah,
miserable recommendations.
Bye.
Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.